There's a rip in the bottom seam of your backpack, the kind duct tape stopped fixing years before you finally admitted it was done. You've had it since you were 22. You don't remember buying it, not really, but you remember exactly what it carried. A laptop with a cracked corner. A granola bar you kept in the front pocket for the days you skipped lunch without meaning to. You still have the bag today. Almost nothing else about your life still matches the person who bought it. Everyone talks about what you build on the way to wealth, the accounts, the milestones, the exact age you cross some number that used to feel impossible. Nobody talks much about what gets set down along the way, quietly, without ceremony, while you're too busy watching the number climb to notice your own hands letting go of something else. This is the story of what actually got left behind, one ordinary year at a time, and whether it was ever really a choice at all. You're 22. You found the apartment on a bulletin board outside a laundromat, 2 roommates, 1 bathroom, a landlord who answers texts at midnight and never during the day. Your job is at a call center, technical support, headset on 8 hours a day telling strangers to unplug their router and plug it back in. It pays a little above minimum wage, enough to make you feel like you should already be past this, which somehow makes the actual number feel worse instead of better. Rent is $650. Split 2 ways with a roommate named Theo who works nights at a warehouse and sleeps most of the day, so you mostly communicate through sticky notes on the fridge. Your paycheck lands every 2 weeks and disappears by day 10. Not on anything dramatic, just the accumulation of small, unavoidable things. You use your debit card for everything and check the balance the way you check the weather, out of habit, bracing for bad news you already half expect. You apply for a real credit card that spring, the kind that doesn't require collateral, and get denied within a day, the email using a phrase about insufficient credit history, a polite way of saying the system doesn't know you exist yet. You're not angry about it exactly. You're just tired in a way that has nothing to do with how much you slept. Every dollar problem at this level turns out to be the same problem wearing different clothes, no cushion between you and a bad week, 1 declined card away from a bad night every single time, which isn't a character flaw so much as math with no floor underneath it. Friday night, the gas station, your card gets declined at the pump. Not because you're broke exactly, because a pending charge from 3 days ago finally cleared and ate the buffer you thought you still had. The guy in line behind you doesn't know that. You step aside, open the app, refresh it twice, watch the same number sit there unchanged. You put $4 of gas on the card that does work and drive home planning to deal with the rest of it tomorrow, the way you deal with most things at 22, by scheduling the worry for later and hoping later feels different. Your backpack sits by the door every single day. The same rip in the seam, a granola bar wrapper stuck in the bottom that you never quite manage to shake loose. Theo asks once if you want to split a pizza after his shift ends. You tell him you already ate. You didn't. Explaining the actual math felt heavier than the lie did. You're 25. Theo mentions, over the sticky notes that have slowly become actual conversations, that you've stopped checking your banking app compulsively the way you used to. You hadn't noticed the change happening. You think about it on the walk to work. He's right. Somewhere in the last year, the constant low hum of financial dread quieted down without an obvious single moment causing it. You have your own room now. No more sticky note negotiations over shared bathroom time. Just a door that locks and a silence on the other side that belongs entirely to you. Rent on the new place is $890. A number you still know by heart the way you know your own birthday. What's changed is what happens after rent gets paid, which used to be nothing and is now, quietly, something. 8 months earlier, you'd opened a brokerage account with $75. An amount that felt almost embarrassing to call an investment. You set it to pull automatically every payday before you ever saw the money land in checking. That single decision, moving the transfer to the front of the month instead of hoping something would be left at the back of it, turns out to matter more than the actual dollar amount ever did. The account reads $9,600 now. You didn't inherit anything. You just stopped having to decide twice. A real credit card arrives in the mail, unsecured, a $3,500 limit that would have been denied outright 8 months ago on the same income. You pay it in full every month without thinking about it, the same automatic instinct that moves the brokerage transfer. Theo asks how you did it, the whole saving thing, and you tell him honestly, Automate it before you see it, because if you wait until the end of the month to decide what's left over, the answer is always nothing. He nods. He doesn't set anything up himself. You don't push. Something about explaining the habit to someone still standing where you used to stand feels different now. Not superior exactly, just like describing a language you only recently learned to speak fluently. You're 29. You buy a small one-bedroom condo, a kitchen you actually cook in, a parking lot view you don't mind looking at every morning. The backpack sits in the closet now, mostly retired, replaced by a laptop bag that doesn't have a torn seam. Your account reads $94,000. You didn't do anything dramatic to get here. You just never stopped the automatic transfer, and the number quietly got less surprising every single year. You furnish the condo slowly, deliberately, buying things because you actually want them rather than because a room feels embarrassingly empty. There's a specific satisfaction in choosing a couch without doing math in your head first. A small quiet luxury that would have sounded absurd to explain to the version of you splitting rent 2 ways and communicating through sticky notes. The bank calls you now, an actual person instead of a recorded line, asking if you'd like to meet with someone about your goals. 8 months at 0, nobody called you about anything. Now somebody dials your number on a Tuesday to ask what you're building toward. You text Theo to grab dinner. He can't. His son just turned 2, and most nights are bath time and bedtime and being too tired to text back after. You didn't know about the timeline of his life the way you used to. That's the part that actually stops you. Not the no itself, the realization that you'd missed something that large without noticing it happening. Neither of you did anything wrong. You just started building 2 different lives in 2 different directions and stopped narrating the process to each other in real time. You're 34. You lead a small team now, for people fixing the kind of technical problems you used to fix alone with a headset and a script. Your combined accounts read $380,000. The backpack is somewhere in a closet you haven't opened in over a year. You used to answer every message within minutes. You don't anymore, not because you're busier, just because the pull to respond instantly quietly stopped existing somewhere along the way and you never noticed the exact day it left. Your team is young, most of them 23 or 24, phones buzzing through every meeting, answering everything the instant it arrives the way you once did. You watch them do it and don't feel nostalgic exactly, just a strange distance from a version of urgency you used to live inside completely and can no longer fully access on purpose. A billing dispute comes up, $290 charged twice by a vendor. You used to spend an hour on hold for something like this. Now you send 1 email and it's resolved by lunch, and you almost don't register anymore how easy that particular kind of problem has become. Your mother calls to ask about a transfer she saw on a shared statement. You used to explain every financial decision to her in detail. This time you just say it's handled. She doesn't push. You don't offer more. It isn't distance exactly. It's something quieter than distance. The sound of no longer needing your choices to make sense to anyone else. You're 41, cleaning out a hallway closet on an ordinary Sunday. The kind of task that isn't urgent, just overdue. Your hand finds the backpack, still zipped, still torn at the seam. You haven't touched it in 3 years. You unzip it out of habit more than curiosity. Empty, of course, everything moved onto your phone and laptop years ago. You remember exactly what it used to carry, and the distance between that version of yourself and the one holding the empty bag right now feels wider than the years alone should account for. Your combined accounts read $1.4 million that year. You crossed a legal threshold recently, accredited investor, a line that doesn't come with a certificate, just a form that stops asking you to prove you can't afford something. A private fund reaches out through your advisor, higher yield, your money locked for 5 years in exchange. You read the documents twice before wiring the amount, slower than you would have moved at 25, not from fear this time, from actually understanding the terms you're agreeing to. Your advisor, a woman named Priya who costs you $7,200 a year, found a tax structure the previous spring you'd never have gone looking for on your own. Something buried in a filing you'd signed without reading closely enough. The fee more than paid for itself within months. You don't remember the exact figure it saved you. You remember that it worked, the same vague, trusting relationship you have now with most of the machinery quietly running underneath your life. You don't check menu prices anymore, not really. There was a version of you that read every number on every menu like it mattered. That version is largely gone, and here's the part nobody mentions when they promise this is what you're working toward. You don't get to keep both. The ease and the hunger don't live in the same place at the same time. You put the backpack in a box instead of the trash. You don't examine why too closely. You just close the lid and go back to the rest of an ordinary Sunday. You're 52. Your phone rings on a Tuesday afternoon. An unfamiliar area code. It's Theo. You haven't heard his voice in almost 2 decades. A reunion thread from an old job resurrected itself for a week and someone passed along your number. He's still doing technical work, different company now, better title, same kind of problems underneath a different job description. You talk for 12 minutes about nothing important, the weather, his son who's grown now and living somewhere across the country, a coworker you both remember who moved away years ago. He mentions, almost offhand, that he finally paid off the house last spring, a small unglamorous milestone he sounds genuinely proud of, and you find yourself genuinely glad for him in a way that has nothing to do with comparing his number to yours. Neither of you brings up the actual numbers. You don't need to. There's an ease in both your voices that wasn't there 20 years earlier, his from finally sleeping through the night again after years of parenting exhaustion, yours from something else entirely, 2 different kinds of arriving landing in the same ordinary phone call. You hang up and sit with it for a minute, realizing you stopped asking yourself the old question, how much is enough, sometime without noticing, not because you found the answer, because the question quietly stopped running your days at all. You're 63. Most of what you built sits inside a trust now, a structure with your name on the paperwork and not much else touching your actual daily life. Your accountant knows the exact figure. You don't ask. Your office has a window and a chair and a stack of books you're actually reading instead of skimming between meetings. Decisions still get made. You're just not the one clicking the button most of the time anymore, and people you trained, people you trust, execute the frameworks you built years ago without needing you to sign off on every piece of it. Your daughter calls to ask about the trust, some detail about future distributions for her own children someday. You answer in 2 sentences and change the subject to something that isn't money, and you mean it, not performing calm, just genuinely finished needing to talk about it at length the way you once would have. One afternoon, helping clear out a storage unit that moved with you through 4 different addresses without ever getting opened, you find a box. Inside it, wrapped loosely in an old grocery bag, the backpack, seems still torn exactly where it always was. You sit down on an overturned crate and hold it for a long moment. You think about the 22-year-old who carried it, the declined card at the gas station, the lie about already eating that felt lighter than the truth at the time. That kid had no idea what he was going to trade away to get here, the late-night checking, the specific hunger that made every small decision feel urgent. A friendship that thinned out for reasons that were never really about the money even when it felt like they were. He also had no idea what he'd get instead. You still don't know, holding the bag, whether it was a fair trade. You stop trying to answer that. You put it back in the box and close the lid, and you don't throw it away. You carry the box back inside instead of leaving it for the donation pile with the rest of the storage unit's contents, and you set it on a shelf in your actual closet, not hidden away this time, just present, the way a scar stays present on skin long after the wound itself stopped hurting. You don't examine that decision too closely either. Some things earn a permanent place simply by having been carried long enough. Somewhere tonight, a 22-year-old is standing at a gas station pump in a different city. A different name, the same small beep from the card reader that means decline. He steps aside, opens the app, refreshes it, watches the number sit there unchanged. He puts the working card back and drives home planning to deal with it tomorrow. There's a backpack on the passenger seat, seam already starting to fray exactly where his hand rests every time he reaches for it. He doesn't know yet what he's going to leave behind to get somewhere else, and he doesn't know yet what he'll get instead. Nobody ever does at the start. The tear is already there. He just hasn't noticed it yet.